I want to talk about a very important concept. This is one that comes naturally to me. That's something I realize about myself. But it is it's one of those fundamental things that if you don't think about it, it'll fall through the cracks. You don't seem to realize the importance of it, the significance that it has, and that's the ability to be by yourself. And what do I mean by that? It's probably something you never heard before, probably a concept that never really thought about. The ability to be by yourself, purposefully, consciously, is so important. It's so critical because I feel like if you don't get that right, everything that you layer on top of that in your life is going to become more difficult, right? Because you're adding complexity and variables to the equation. And so, one thing I realized in my own experience is that one of the best things you can do is to consciously and intentionally learn to be by yourself. And it means that you're on your own by yourself regularly, right? Not with a bunch of friends, not with a bunch of coworkers, not with a bunch of family, not with a significant other. Right? Learn how to be by yourself. You have to learn how to live by yourself. And I don't mean by necessarily like living on your own per se, but being comfortable in your own company. That is something that's it's so fundamental, and I'm sure it's something that goes by the wayside so easily, right? We're around people all the time, family, friends, coworkers, significant others, associates, whatever you want to call them, right? We're around people all the time. And one of the best things you can learn is to learn how to be on your own and enjoy your own company. That is a foundation, that is a fundamental thing, a fundamental concept. Can I sit alone in a room? And that kind of goes into two different things. It kind of leads into meditation in a sense, right? Because meditation is sitting alone by yourself. See, I heard a quote that said, all of man's problems stem from his inability to sit alone in a room. And I thought it's so, it doesn't sound complex, but it's very profound. It's very profound. Because when you think about it, it's kind of weird if you tell someone to meditate or to sit alone or to learn how to be by themselves. It sounds very silly almost, right? Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What is that going to do? Right? And so we live in such busy lives, right? That we're always around people. We're always thinking about things. We're always doing things. And when you don't learn how to be by yourself, you don't learn how to quiet the mind. You don't learn who you are, what you want, right? What's important to you. And those are very, very fundamental things that you need to get in order before you start adding layers to things, right? In terms of relationships, what do people do, right? There are a lot of people out there that are insecure, or they want the validation, or they don't like being alone and they're lonely, or they just want companionship. They want to have someone to show off to their friends and family. Maybe their friends are all getting married and they don't want to be alone, so they rush into a relationship or whatnot. And I realize this, not in other people, not only in other people, but like in myself. And I'm naturally a very conservative person. I love my alone time. I've always loved my alone time. But I'm such an aware person that I realize certain patterns in myself, certain things. And I realized how beneficial that's been and how much more effort that I've had to put in certain areas, right? Because I'm naturally that person, but you can have certain weaknesses in certain areas. Learning how to be by yourself is so important, right? Because that's the easiest it's ever going to be, right? If you don't have a significant other, you don't have children, it's just you and yourself, right? You might work, you might have a couple of things you do outside of work, but learning how to be by yourself is the beginning. It is the foundation. You don't want to add anything on top of that foundation until you get that right. That means that you're not insecure, That means you're not looking for something from someone else. That means you don't have lack and you're lonely and you want validation and attention, so you need to jump into something else. That means that you're capable of saying, okay, these are my goals. These are the things that I have taking up my time. These are the things that I have taking up my energy and my mental space. How do I get these things in order? What are my goals, right? What are my priorities? What do I need to get in line for myself first, right? And then you build on top of that. And what happens naturally, very easily, is that people don't situate themselves in life, don't chase their own goals, don't get the foundation built. And what they do is they try to reach out for relationships. They try to get involved in a bunch of different things and put a bunch of people in place to fill a void, right? To fill a void that's there. It's uncomfortable. It's weird to sit in a room by yourself. It's weird to go out by yourself. That's awkward. Oh, you're a loser if you go out by yourself, right? And these are certain things that come into play that mess around with you, right? And so you won't go out unless you're in a group of people or you're in a social setting by yourself and you're awkward, right? And you're weird. And so like even before doing this video, tonight, I got out of work and went to 2 different bars and I just went out, right? Not with any other intention or purpose, but to get out by myself, right? And if there's certain things that are awkward to you, see, this is why I love personal development. I believe that all people come into the world as a blank slate. And for the most part, we are perfect. But society and development and growing up in an environment and culture and your friends and family and the things that you see in your experiences go tarnishing and adding layers of complexity and things that make your life difficult, right? They make your life difficult. Things that are a disservice to you. And the things that you don't ever question are the things that are the most disservice to you, right? If you cannot sit in a room by yourself with nothing on, no phone, no TV, locked room, if that's weird to you, that's where you need to start. If that's weird to you and that's awkward or that's weird, you feel like a loser, you think anyone that does that is a loser, that's a foundation. There's something there. Why can I not sit in a room by myself? Why do I not have control over that? Right? Because if you find that awkward or difficult, then that's a sign, right? You don't want to add anything on top of that until you're capable of being by yourself, happy by yourself, complete and whole by yourself. That's step 1, right? And there's a whole world to that, but that's step 1, right? And when I ask myself, like, why is it weird, for me to go out by myself, or just whether that's the way it happened naturally or I'm intentionally going out by myself to rid myself or to overcome some weird concept or stereotype or some belief in myself or that others might think of me or of themselves in the same situation. I want to overcome those things, right? I want to overcome those things because they don't make any sense. And it's so easy to always want to be around people to make ourselves feel comfortable or get validation or feel valuable or have some type of social status or whatever the case may be. But if you are not capable of getting yourself right by yourself, then everything you add on top of that is going to add issues and problems and complications to that because you don't have yourself right. And so there are 2 reasons why I say that. Number 1, you want to know how to be by yourself for your own personal development, right? And the other end is so that you don't go down paths and introduce issues and problems into your life because you haven't gotten the foundations right. This is why I love meditation so much, because it's almost a skill set. You don't realize how difficult it is to meditate, to quiet your mind, to sit by yourself in a quiet room until you do it and try to get good at it. That's when you realize my mind won't stop running. That's when you realize how busy your mind is. That's when you realize how addicted you are to your phone. That's how you realize how much energy goes into trying to get things done in a day. That's when you realize I can't even settle. I don't even know how to sit by myself, right? I can't even do that basic fundamental thing. That's when you realize there's an issue. And that's where you need to start. So meditation, maybe not everyone's into meditation and the purpose of it, that's fine. But there's a skill set to be learned, and there's a development involved in that. And it's a beautiful thing. And I love to figure out what are the things about myself that I can overcome, that are a disservice to me, that I didn't put there, right? How can I become stronger? How can I control myself? How can I learn to control my emotions? How can I control my body? How can I control my mind? Because if I cannot do those simple things by myself at the most bare bones fundamental level, I have there's no real reason for me to be adding anything on top of that. Because it's only going to get blurry, muddy, more complicated, because you're adding variables to a situation that you don't fully control. So I want to always learn how to control me, right? And I heard this, and I've said this in other videos. Personal development is the undoing of everything that you've learned since you were 5 years old. I heard that years ago, and I thought that was so profound, and I will never forget it. We come into this world in a clean slate, and we are now a manifestation and products of our environment, of our culture, of our beliefs, our experiences, our own development, our family, friends, all that stuff, right? Over many, many years. But you can take on things that are a disservice to you. And so I never want to allow things into my reality, into my belief, into my ears and my brain and my body that I don't have full control over, because if I don't have full control over myself, what am I really doing, right? And that's why I'm making this video. I realize that is a very simple, very easy pattern of behavior to allow to fall through the cracks, and then you don't realize it in yourself. And again, like I said before, the behaviors and the thought process and the beliefs that fall and kind of integrate into your mind and your body that you don't analyze are the dangerous ones, right? How many people leave one relationship? Let's say you're in a relationship for a couple of years, and you leave that relationship and you jump right into another one because you don't want to be alone, or you're trying to get over your ex, or whatever the case may be. And you don't stop to analyze what happened. You don't reflect what things you did wrong, what things that other person did, how you can better yourself, right? You don't stop and reflect, but you jump into the next thing. No. How many people don't stop in their own lives to take time out of their own lives to say, I'm going to get myself right. I'm going to work towards my own goals before I ever get involved with anything or anyone else, right? Because here's the thing. No other significant person, no significant other can be a substitute for the goals that are yours and your personal goals that bring you personal satisfaction and fulfillment. Right? There's a sense of accomplishment, and that's something important when you bring someone else into your life. But there's no substitute for you accomplishing your own things. There's no substitute for you taking time out of your own life to say, I'm going to get my own things done. I'm going to figure out who I am. I'm going to figure out the things that I want. I'm going to figure out the things that I want to work on, right? On myself. I'm going to get myself right. Before I even introduce anyone else into this picture, before I try to take on anything else, I want to get those things right. And here's the thing about relationships that I've realized. Two people should come into the picture bringing their best self at that moment in time, that point in time in their lives, to the table, right? Not two people that are seeking anything from the other outside of companionship, right? Not, I need money, I don't have money, so I want to find someone else that has money. Not, I don't possess these things, so I'm looking for this thing in someone else. It's two people that are full, whole, and complete, coming with things to the table to offer each other, and they're full. They don't need each other. They want each other, right? And so that's the key to taking time out of your life to learn how to be by yourself, to work on you, the things that are important to you, so that you can come to the table full, whole and complete, not lacking anything, not chasing anything outside of yourself, not pursuing something in someone else that you don't have, right? It's how can I better myself so that I know that I'm not bringing the old me into this new thing, right? I heard it that way, put that way. Don't bring your old self into a new relationship. But that's easy to do if you don't stop and reflect on who you were and the things that you've done wrong and how you messed up in your past relationship or anything in your past, right? Every person, man or woman, should take X amount of time. I don't want to say it, I'll say a number of years, right? But I don't want to put a number on it. Out of their life to say, what do I want, right? To ask themselves, what do I want? What's important to me? What are my priorities? What do I believe in? What am I looking for out of life? What's important to me? What are my goals, right? And work on those things. Because here's the key, and here's the thing, and I don't think anyone could dispute this, man or woman, a relationship, no matter how great it is, it takes away from your resources. That's your money, your time, and your energy that you could put into your own goals. Now, like I said before, a significant other cannot be a replacement or a substitute for the goals that you have for yourself. You could be married for 50 years, but you being married to that person does not mean that you've accomplished your own personal goals and your own purpose in life, right? It's great that you have that person. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand that if you are an aware person, you have your own personal goals, your own dreams, your own ambitions, having that person there does not substitute for those things, right? And so there's two reasons. Learn how to be by yourself. If you find that you need to be in a relationship or you need to be around people or it's difficult for you to be by yourself, you need to be with other people all the time, that is a weakness. I believe that is a weakness. And so that's something that I recognize in myself. Why is this awkward? Why is this difficult? Why is this weird? I know people would look at this way, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to conquer that. I should be able to be in a room by myself, and I should also be able to be in a social setting by myself, right? And so if I find that weird, I want to conquer that because it doesn't make sense that would be weird to me, but if it is, I want to conquer that, right? I want to get over that. And so that's so critical. Be happy with your own company. If you're not happy with your own company, do not add anything on top of that. Learn how to be happy in your own company. Fill your time with the things that you enjoy. Fill your time with the things that are priorities to you that you know you should be working on. And then you'll realize how little time you actually have. And I don't want to derail the video and the message, right? But I realized that once you get clear about what you want to accomplish in life, what's important to you, what are your priorities, then you create a to-do list and you realize the things that you have to do on a daily basis to accomplish the goals. You realize very, very quickly how little time you actually have, right? How little time you actually have. And not to jump to another thing, right? But in terms of relationships, which I've touched on already, when you have all your stuff settled, or at least you're working in the areas that are important to you, you create a certain value, right? You start learning things about yourself. You're developing yourself. You realize what's important, who you are, and what you're looking for in another person. Then you can identify those things. You can identify what things that are important to you and what you're working on. You can feel good about what you're doing with your time and where you're investing and how you're progressing in your goals and how things are going, right? And now you're coming full to the table. And now you can say, okay, these are the things that I want. This is what I'm looking for. This is who I am. Now you know what to identify in the other person. Does this other person believe in these things, right? Do they do these things with their time? Are they into this? Do we have similar interests? If you don't stop and take and carve out a certain amount of time in your life to figure those things out about yourself and to work on those things, you're just going to jump from relationship to relationship to relationship and just be looking for things outside of yourself to make you happy, to fill a void that you cannot fill with someone else because that is your responsibility to yourself. That's not their responsibility to you, right? And that's so key. If you can learn to be by yourself, then you can build everything on top of that. That is a foundation to the home that you're trying to build. You cannot be trying to put double pane windows and paint on the house and this beautiful metal roof and all this stuff going on and extend it, but your foundation is all destroyed. You don't even know how to be by yourself, right? And I learned this with my own personal relationship, right? I don't like to really get into my own stuff, but it's not really mine anymore. I don't really care, right? I want to share this stuff so it's valuable to you. In my past relationship, I realized that the person that I was with did exactly that. As soon as we cut off, she already had someone on deck, right? And so that I know that blew up in her face, right? That's going to backfire because I said, you know what? I could do this. I could go out and start talking to other people and try to rush the process of getting over this person that I've been with for so long, right? I said, no. That is a weakness. Doesn't matter how it feels. Doesn't matter how hard it is. I'm going to overcome that urge to do that because I'm only fooling myself. I should know how to stay by myself after this here relationship that just passed. And I don't want to feel like I need to jump into the next thing or get some temporary rebound person to jump into this thing so that I can get over someone faster than I'm just fooling myself. No. Stop, reflect. What did you do wrong? What did that other person do wrong? What did I learn from this? How can I not bring my old self into this new relationship, whatever that may be, and with whomever it may be, right? That, and I realized that about myself. That is key. Learn to be by yourself in relationships or outside of relationships. Every person, man or woman, needs to take X amount of time in their life to figure themselves out. Their desires, their beliefs, their priorities, their goals and ambitions, right? That's important on a personal level. On a personal level. And I believe, this is what I believe about myself. It might not be what you believe about yourself, and that's fine. I believe that if I can't figure those things out for myself, by myself, then I have no right, no point. I cannot participate in society or in a relationship responsibly because I haven't figured out myself yet. So I have no business bringing someone else into the picture, right? Some of this stuff comes from a personal side. Others, maybe it's a man thing. But I realize that man or woman, you should do this. This is what I believe. And especially men, right? Before you bring someone else into your life, get your shit in order, right? Figure yourself out. You can have relationships and hang out with people and do your little thing. But understand that the true fulfillment, right? True development comes from spending time with yourself. Learn how to go ride a bike by yourself. Go walk through the woods by yourself. Figure out what hobbies you want, right? Or what you're into. Figure out who you are and what you want, right? Until you do that, nothing else really matters because you're just trying to build on top without getting the foundation solved for. And I realized that I didn't want to have weaknesses. I'm all about getting the weaknesses out of myself. I want to be aware and conscious about my weaknesses and get them out of the way. I don't want weaknesses within myself because to me, it's almost like an insult to myself. I have not figured out how to get the weaknesses out of myself. And until I do, I don't want anything else on top of that because it's just going to add complications, right? And I kind of touched on this. When you work on yourself and you spend time by yourself, what you do is you realize, I've developed, I'm working on myself, I'm progressing, right? And so your confidence in yourself grows, but then your value grows and your expectations grow proportionately. So what ends up happening is you now don't settle for less. You're not trying to compromise because you're spending so much time and you're sacrificing working on yourself that you want someone that's just like that realizes the importance of that wants that progression, that has that ambition, that drive, that self-awareness, right? That consciousness. You want someone like that. And so now you have a vivid picture of who you're looking for, and now you can easily identify who's for you and who's not, who's compatible with you and who's not, right? Compared to, I don't know what I want, I don't know, I have all these problems, right? I haven't figured out on my own, but I'm going to involve this other person. Now you're looking for these things that you don't have in this other person, and you're coming out of need and lack rather than I'm perfectly fine being with you and without you, right? Because I've learned to be by myself. You don't need anyone. Once you've learned how to be by yourself, you don't need anyone. You're fine in the relationship. You're fine outside of a relationship. You're fine in a social setting, right? Those are fundamental things. Learning how to be social, how to be comfortable in social environments, right? And that's a skill set, because it's weird when you're not in a group of people or something like that. But those are the things that's where the opportunities lie, right? You can realize the opportunities, you can grow and work on yourself and take advantage of those things and say, I'm realizing that I feel this way. I'm thinking these things. This is a weakness within myself. I'm going to work on this because I don't want this weakness in myself. This doesn't make sense. I did not put that in here. Who put this in here? I'm going to get it out, right? Getting the weaknesses out of your armor. Realizing, why do I have this problem? This doesn't make sense. This is not serving me. And I consciously did not put this in here. So that means that subconsciously it was programmed into you, right? And so that's key, and I've talked about this in other videos. Learning your own programming. There are things about you that you did not put in there. They were put in there without you knowing, and now you've integrated them, and now they're a disservice to you, right? Taking time by yourself to realize these things about yourself is key, right? And I could talk about a whole other video on this, but right, I learned this years ago. There are 3 window panes. The first one that you see through are the things that you know about yourself that no one else knows about you. The second window pane are the things that you know about you and others know about you, right? The third window pane is a key. The things that others know about you that you don't know about yourself. Those are the things that you want to solve for, because you don't even know the problems that you have. You don't know the patterns and the behaviors that are screwing you over, the mental thought processes and the beliefs that you take on, right? There's a difference between reacting and responding. Those are the things that you want to get out of your system so that you can live a fruitful life. If you don't get yourself in order, you're going to live a difficult life, right? And it's not going to be anyone else's fault but yours. If you take time out of your life, carve out a couple years out of your life, and work on yourself. Figure out who you are, what you want, what's important, what your goals are. That's the stuff that you're going to identify with. Every single person should focus on personal development, because we live in a world that integrates and programs things into us that we don't even know are there. And then we also live in a world where people they don't have the awareness to realize that, and they also don't have the awareness to realize the problems within themselves. Right? When you don't figure out the problems within yourself, you always point the finger because you think you're always right. You think the problem is always outside of you. You might be the problem. If you find yourself having the same problems over and over, you just might be the common denominator. And so I never wanted to be the common denominator on my problems, right? I never wanted to just assume that I was always right. And I realized this, and I could make videos all about this, right? But it's key. We live in a world that integrates programming and stuff into us that we don't even know what's happening, right? It's not what you don't know that hurts you. It's what you believe to be true that's wrong that hurts you. Because that's the stuff you don't even analyze. The difference between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. If you don't analyze who you are, you don't ever get to the point where you realize you're wrong. So you gotta work on those things. Spend time by yourself working on you. Saying, shit, I didn't even know I did this all the time. Am I doing this? Crap. Maybe that's why this happened. This is why this happened. Maybe that's why I messed this up. Working on those things, getting the kinks out of your armor before you continue to ruin and self-sabotage other areas of your life and opportunities that come up because you haven't realized your own beliefs and patterns and behaviors that are a disservice to you. You know, there's something beautiful about this. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? And you're with someone for a long time. If you took the time out of your life to be comfortable by yourself and know what that's like and be fine with that, you can leave a relationship responsibly and in a healthy way because you're not in fear of leaving that relationship and being by yourself. You know what being by yourself is like, and it's not the end of the world, and you're fine with that, right? You cannot be in that position, and you cannot know what that's like until you intentionally be by yourself. And when you recognize the behavior and the desire and the urge to try to distract yourself with other people or have some significant other and be busy all the time. It is okay to be by yourself. It is okay to go out by yourself. That is normal. What anyone else tells you, or you're a loser, that's weird or whatever, that's bullshit. Bullshit. If you stop and think about it, you realize that's stupid. Not everyone is always with friends. Not everyone is always in a relationship, right? And so I caught this in myself. I caught this behavior in myself months back when I realized that I would only go out if someone else was free and I would be going out with them, some friend, some coworker, whatever, right? I'm like, well, that's stupid. And so it was weird in the beginning to try to go out by myself, go to bars, sit at the bar by myself and do stuff. But you cannot fill your cup if your cup is full all the time, right? And so sometimes your cup has to be empty for you to get something new to fill your cup. And so I realized that is a weakness in myself. As a man, as a person, I should be able to go out by myself and meet other people, meet women, be in a social setting with no intention other than to just be out. And if I don't meet anyone, who gives a shit? I'm by myself. I'm enjoying a drink. I'm in a social setting. I'm enjoying the music. Whatever I got out of the house, I'm creating a balance. I'll come home and grind, right? That was the intention. That was the growth. That was the purpose, right? That was it. It wasn't to try to get women or try to make friends or whatever. You're just putting yourself in a social setting so that happens naturally, right? But not, I'm gonna go home because I don't have anyone else to hang out with. That was a weakness, and I realized I gotta get this out of the system. Even if it's weird, who gives a shit? I'm gonna do it, right? Because I want to get the weakness out. I want to get the weakness out, right? And this is something more for men. If you're a woman watching this, take a break. There's a power to this, right? This is more for men. I watched a video months ago from a channel that I recommend you watch. This is more for men also, called Immortal Minds. Immortal Minds, and Z. Minds is with a Z at the end. It's called the concept of sex transmutation. And I thought this was a very interesting concept, right? Because men, specifically men, women have it also, but specifically men, the desire for sex or sexual things or whatever, that's a strong desire. That is strong power and energy, right? That we carry. And some men take that and spend their lives chasing women, and they're completely unproductive and accomplish nothing, right? And some men take that time, sacrifice that, take that energy and transmute it into something else that's more important, and they accomplish more that's more productive for themselves and their family and their friends and humanity, right? Sex transmutation is a very interesting concept. Taking that power and energy and putting it into something else of higher value to accomplish something and to create and to solve problems, right? This is something you could do as a man, right? That's what you're doing essentially when you're taking time out of your life and not focusing on women or relationships. And you say, those are distractions. I'm going to sit down and focus on my stuff. I'm going to figure myself out. I know I need to invest in my goals, right? That is what you're essentially doing if you're a man. And when you do that, you're transmuting this energy, this desire to do X thing, and taking it consciously and intentionally and putting it to something else that is of more benefit to you, right, in your life. There's more creativity involved. There's more results, right? There's more of a product involved at the end. You're working on yourself. You're building yourself up. You're creating certain things in your life. Might be content or your career, or you want to focus on your own health, and maybe you're into working out or whatever. Or you want to create a business or whatever it could be. But you're taking that energy and putting it into that intentionally as a man, rather than going this way, right? That transmutation is a very powerful and interesting concept. And I realized that that's something that I've done naturally, but there are a lot of guys that don't do that naturally, right? And so it takes discipline to do that, and it takes ambition and consistency to do that. You need to intentionally want to do that, to say, I'm going to put this off. I'm going to just be perfectly fine by myself. I don't need to have women all the time around me. I don't need to be chasing skirts. I don't need to be doing all this stuff. I don't need to be on social media or these dating apps and all this stuff. I'm going to focus on myself for the next 2 years, a year, or 6 months, or whatever it may be, and do my stuff, right? You're transmuting a natural energy and putting it in something else, right? And that's awesome. That's like you're overcoming yourself in a biology and a nature to then put it into something else, right? The people that accomplish the greatest things in life are not out there chasing skirts and spending your time in clubs and drinking, do a lot of stuff, because there's nothing that really comes out of that in terms of like an accomplishment, right? You take that and put it into something else that's more useful for yourself and other people. And that's an interesting concept. And for men specifically, that goes right in line with what I'm talking about. Taking time out of your life to focus on you and what you need to do and what you need to accomplish, right? There's a place for women in life, but women will never satisfy or be a substitute for the goals that you need to accomplish for yourself. And if you have goals and you're the type of person you're ambitious, you start to realize very quickly, once you have women in place or a significant other, how much energy and time and money goes into maintaining that, because all relationships require maintenance, right? And now you're taking away from what you need to be doing and putting into something else, right? And someone else, right? And so that's why it's key. And the earlier you do this, the better. The more you're going to get out of this, because you start taking on more responsibilities as you get older. And this is key. Every single person, man or woman, should take time out of their life, hopefully earlier than later, and get their stuff in order. Figure out who they are and what they want, what they're looking for in another person, what their career goals are, and work on those things so that you, for yourself, relationship or not, you got yourself in order. You're full, you're whole, and happy without anyone else. And then you can potentially meet someone else who's also whole and full and complete, coming to the table and saying, we're not looking for things from each other. We are looking for companionship. We enjoy each other's company because we're alike. But I don't need you, you don't need me, and we understand that. There's no ego involved. There's none of that. That's where I believe relationships should come from. That perspective, that place, right? But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You don't end up being in relationships for a long time because you're scared of being alone. You're okay with that. You've been there before, and it's fine. So you can say, okay, I don't think I'm compatible with XYZ person. I think we should cut this off responsibly. Boom, and you're done, because you've been alone by yourself and you're perfectly fine being that way. If you've never been that way before and you're not comfortable being there, and you don't realize the importance of being there and the benefits of being in that place, you end up staying in relationships for a lot longer than you should, out of a place of lack and insecurity. But I don't want to make this video extremely long. But I thought it was super, 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 super important. Super important. Get yourself in order first. There's no need to be rushing into getting into 1,000 relationships and doing anything else. Get yourself in order. There are responsibilities that you have to yourself that no one else can accomplish for you, right? And even if you get involved in anything else, they can't do it for you. It takes time and energy away from those things that you need to do for yourself. Now you have less time and money to do these things that you should accomplish for yourself. Take the time out of your life. Carve time out of your life to figure yourself out. It doesn't matter if someone thinks you look like you're weird because you're XYZ age and or you're alone or you're single or whatever. That's all bullshit, right? Get yourself in order. Get yourself in order, and then you can find someone else that wants you and sees a value in yourself. And you raise your own value, your own confidence in yourself. And now you raise your standards, right? And you have your expectations higher. And you can pick who you want. And you can get who you want, not who you need, right? Yeah, people get in relationships because they don't have money. Now the other person has money, so I need to take all their shit because they have money. And oh my God, if they leave or whatever. No. Get yourself in order so you're not looking for things in someone else that you should have for yourself, right? Be independent. Be completely independent. And be fine with you being on yourself. Go out and enjoy stuff. Go to a bar by yourself. Go to a painting class by yourself. Go to a cooking class by yourself. Go bike riding. Go walk in nature. Go grow stuff by yourself. Go dancing. Go do all that stuff. We come into this world alone and we're going to die alone. So learn how to live alone at a certain point in your life, right? And I'm saying that because I've learned that, but I'm also practicing that myself. So I'm not saying that in terms of like I figured this completely out, but I know what I'm doing. And so I'm practicing that, and I'm just trying to pass that message on, right? Because it's key. It's key. It is key. You should not be getting involved with anything else. It's complicated enough to be by yourself and try to figure out your own stuff. So don't add anything else to it. Don't add anything else to it until you figure yourself out. And be okay with that. You don't need to be posting. Some people just want to be in relationships that can post stuff on Facebook and social media and whatever and look like they're... Just cut all that stuff out. It's all bullshit. It's not a real life. That's fake stuff. Get yourself in order. take as much time as you want, do your thing for you, for yourself, for your own responsibility, and you completing your responsibility to yourself. Take your time out of your life and don't rush into anything. There's no need to rush anything. It's more important that you get yourself set than it is for you to find someone else that's just going to throw you all over the place and waver and throw you off track, right? And so I hope you got something out of that. If you have any comments or questions, comment below. I'd love to chat and see what your comments are and some of your thoughts are on that. But I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you in the next video.